me just say a few words to the Filipino people. We continue to serve you well, and ang aming maasahan ninyo na lahat ng ginagawa namin ay para sa bayan, legal, at yung pera ninyo ay nasa mabuting kamay. If by chance you have a question about a particular transaction in government, or would want to know the money or the whereabouts of the money na gusto ninyong malaman, feel free to write us at 888, and we will call the particular secretary, department secretary, to come here and to explain to you what you want to know about the workings of government. So yan lang po. That is the guarantee that I can give you.
The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. The raffle for the order of listing of party list groups for the 2022 election ballots has started. However, the COMELEC has yet to announce the order of listing. 166 party lists are participating in the raffle. Stay tuned here on One News for the latest on this development. Meanwhile, COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez said candidates are required to submit receipts and contracts of vloggers tapped for their campaign. Speaking with the chiefs, Jimenez said vloggers are included in their monitoring of campaign spending. Jimenez also said that the poll body will monitor certain accounts and websites to detect possible paid campaigns not disclosed to the COMELEC.
Well, if you're an influencer who's really pushing for a particular candidate, you will of course be required to submit your contract and your receipts. Doon naman sa mga hindi sila obvious na merong contractual relationship, mga taong hindi mo alam kung bayad o hindi, what the COMELEC does is it really observes the behavior of these websites to see if there is a pattern of campaigning. And then that might be called into question whether or not those services have to be paid for. But again, this is all monitoring after the fact.
President Duterte launched a fresh wave of tirades against Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Dick Gordon last night. Duterte accused Gordon of thriving on black propaganda and falsehoods. The chief executive said Gordon's strongman act appears ironic, given Gordon's supposed history of mishandling funds as the chairman of the Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority. Gordon had already said that he's ready to face the Commission on Audit, but Duterte again slammed the lawmaker for his focus on the Parmali issue.
Bumubula pa yung baba mo na yung sa Parmalin. Sabi ko, durugin mo yan. Wala ka nakita sa investigasyon. Cleared by COA, nagalit ka. Tapos kalkal ka ng kalkal. Kasi kikilala ko yung mga negosyante. Ka. Kung sabihin ko sa inyo yung sige daw, anong sagot mo? Saan mo gustong makita tayo? Kalaki-laki ng mukha mo, hindi magmintis itong sampal ko. Ka.
Meanwhile, Duterte promises an honest and credible 2022 elections, where his administration will remain neutral.
We will see to it that there will be no terrorism about buying at intimidation and everything that would put a hindrance to an honest election. As I step down in June 2022, it will be my highest honor to turn over the reins of power to my successor, knowing that in the exercise of my mandate, I did my best to serve the Filipino people.
The Interior Department says there are no more areas in Metro Manila that are still under granular lockdown. DILG Secretary Ed Año says this is a sign that the alert level system is effective, especially if complemented with the vaccination drive. Meanwhile, around 40 areas outside Metro Manila remain under granular lockdown.
Dahil po epektibo yung ating ginagawang alert level system, yung pagpapatupad ng ating minimum public health standard at ang ating massive na pagbabakuna, nakita po natin na talagang mababa na ang ating mga cases. Sa katunayan po sa buong Pilipinas, 42 areas na lamang po ang nasa granular lockdown at nakakaapekto sa 51 households o 107 individuals.
The government also assures the public that the Philippines is still Omicron-free, despite the new variant's detection in at least 60 countries as of yesterday. FDA Chief Eric Domingo says that based on their studies, Omicron's transmission rate could be higher or similar to that of the Delta variant. He says that although vaccines tend to have lower efficacy rates against certain variants, they still provide the best protection against severe illness.
Ganon din po ang nakikita natin sa Omicron, no? Especially kapag na-complete po yung dose at yun po mga nagkaroon ng booster 6 months later, are probably going to benefit from the vaccination, and the benefits definitely outweigh the risk.
President Duterte has reiterated his appeal for the public to get vaccinated against COVID-19. Towards the end of his latest public address, the chief executive also reminded everyone to get their booster shots. At the same time, he also delivered a warning to those still hesitant to get inoculated.
We will say that we will be celebrating Christmas in the coming days. Stay safe, and yung wala pang bakuna, mamatay ako sa inyo. Mamatay ako o kayo ang patayin ko. Magpabakuna kayo para sa kabakanan ng ating bayan lahat.
Despite the emergence of the Omicron variant, life continues to return to a semblance of normalcy in the U.S. Gretchen Ho takes us on a trip from New York to Washington in this report.
Getting into the United States is quite easy. You just need to be fully vaccinated, have your VaxCert PH, an RT-PCR test taken a day before your flight, travel and health insurance, and sign attestation forms at the airport. No need to quarantine. First stop, New York City. With people going maskless, who would have thought that this was once the virus epicenter in the United States? More than 80% now of the population above 12 years old in New York State have been fully jabbed. But after seeing a 43% spike in cases post-Thanksgiving, the mask policy is once again in place for public indoor spaces. You even have to mask up while watching plays on Broadway. But what's impressive here is COVID-19 testing and vaccine accessibility. You can get it for free from convenience stores and roving vans. But for Willie, a Filipino COVID survivor living here, the Omicron variant poses new risks.
You might be clean, pero yung ibang kaharap mo might not be. You'd never know who's vaccinated. You just protect your own self. Get vaccination.
Now on to a 4-hour train ride to Boston. Unlike New York, Boston is less strict. Establishments that we went to did not even ask for any proof of vaccination. The Academe has also opened its doors. I even got to attend a short course on the business of entertainment, media, and sports at the Harvard Business School. The class was almost full, with 67 students from 18 countries, including sporting greats baseball star Alex Rodriguez and former NBA champion Channing Frye. In the capital city, meanwhile, the mask mandate has already been lifted. I am in one of the hotbeds for tourists here in Washington, D.C. Right behind me, we have the Washington Monument. This one is the African American Museum. And if you take a look at the people here, the tourists, the locals, and the security, they're not wearing masks anymore. So it's not required, but recommended right here in the capital city. They're no longer aiming for zero cases here. Instead, they're viewing COVID-19 as an endemic.
I understand if you wear it all the time, that it does help reduce or whatever the potential risk factors.
And the best part, RT-PCR tests here aren't as intrusive. For them, results are still accurate even if it just touches the tip.
Okay.
Masakit ba?
Hindi.
Ano yung difference sa Pilipinas?
Mas pasok sa loob yun sa Pilipinas.
Ito, ano?
Medyo nasa labas lang.
Gretchen Ho, We Are One News.
Here's a quick look at some of today's headlines. 7 more hospitals have cut ties with PhilHealth due to unpaid claims. The tropical cyclone expected to enter the Philippine area of responsibility today intensifies into a tropical storm. And according to the latest SWS data, joblessness in the country slightly decreased in the third quarter. And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us again later at 2 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.